Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. 6:08 Thursday, November 17th, 49 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Stream live on the Radio Pop app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160. Join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Marshall Wright. He is the president of Wright Corporation, which, you know, it always works out when you put your name on the company and then you get to be president. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, that's why we live in the world of Trump because, well, no, that's a whole separate issue. Hey, good morning. How are you?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
I cannot complain. Nobody would care really for me. But why don't you tell folks a little bit about Wright? What do you guys do?
Well, you know, you mentioned that my name is in the company, but the company actually started back in 1984, and it was my wife's idea. And coincidentally, her maiden name is Decker.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we are Wright. So we're an IT consulting company in Red Bank, New Jersey. We help small and medium-sized businesses use technology innovatively to make more money, basically.
So is she involved in the business as well?
She is. She's the director of operations right now. We started out as a software-based company, and now we're a managed service company. We do outsourced IT. So.
Well, it's really nice of her to let you be president, at least professionally, because I'm sure when you get home, she's president, right?
That's absolutely true. And for many years, we did not work together. As you can imagine, husband, wife, and a company can cause problems.
Yes.
Back around, actually, it was right before 9/11. We made a decision. She was working at AT&T that she was going to come and work for the company full time, and we had to work a deal out that somebody had to be boss. So that wound up being me. So she's got a little card on her desk that she's having a bad day and angry at me. She pulls it out and it says, "Marshall's the boss." So, but that you're right. That changes as soon as I walk in the door.
Yeah. It's over. We're not at work anymore, hon.
That's
all right,
right.
let's move
That's
along.
Right.
So 1984.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you guys decide to do IT? I mean, what was that something you'd always done, or what had that start?
Well, my wife is really the technology person. She has a master's in computer science from Monmouth, so she's really a high tech person. I, on the other hand, have a finance degree, so I'm really a business finance guy. I worked for Bell Labs before I started the company, and then decided I really wanted to run my own business. And we'd built some capital up in the business that my wife started, so we decided to open a retail store up in Shrewsbury called Computer Exchange, and ran that for about 5 years, and decided I hated retail. And then we started to get more into business to business.
Right.
And that's evolved into this company we have today, which is totally different than how we started.
So hated retail.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you hate about it?
You know, it was you were open 7 days a week. You had to figure staffing out. It was hard. Yeah. Retail, I give those people a lot of credit that run retail operations.
Yeah, I did 17 years in retail, and I always say, thank God for food service, because that was the only business that was more difficult. At least there was somebody that I could look at and say, okay, their job's worse than mine.
Yep.
Yeah, because they were there till 2 a.m. and, you know, food, you're preparing all day. Anyway, all right, so things have been okay then. I mean, you're as your own business, doing what you're doing, you feel pretty good about that, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't change it. It'd be hard to go back and work for a real company at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I joke with people that start businesses up, you've now joined the ranks of the unemployed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that must be scary, though. I mean, early on, you know, you're at Bell Labs, you're working, you're getting a paycheck, right? You know what you're going to get, right? You know how to budget, you know how to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you take the leap and you say, you know what, now let's do our own thing. And there is no paycheck. In fact, you're just probably pouring money in early on. Right, and there's that uncertainty every month about, you know, are we going to have the business to keep this sustainable?
Yeah, that's absolutely a true statement. And you know, I had the good fortune when we started out that my wife still had a real job, so we had at least one income stream. But when she left in 2001, right before 9/11, we put all our eggs in one basket at that point, and it was particularly scary after 9/11 because industry, everything stopped for about 90 days. So that was quite
Yeah.
an awakening at that point. But fortunately, things picked up, and we've gone through a couple business cycles, and now I really value the fact that she's part of the company, and we're aligned and working together.
Right.
It's fun. It has its challenges, of course, but it's good.
Yeah. It makes it harder to have a girlfriend too.
Yeah, really
I know,
hard.
It's not easy. Okay, so I mean, not. I'm just saying. I just.
Well,
throw it
no,
out
she's
there.
listening too. So
Yeah. Okay, that's true. Well, I guess as long as you have that kind of relationship. So, how do you? What kind of things are you dealing with day to day? You know, and well, first of all, let me say this: Did your world change after 9/11 as far as what you were dealing with, or was it just the pace and like there was just that stop and then that restart?
At 9/11, it was a stop and restart. So as scary as the financial downturn was in 2008,
Yeah.
that was nothing compared to what happened at 9/11.
Right.
It was just a complete business stop.
Right.
2008 was also a scary time, but business sort of continued to flow at that point.
Right. And have you seen it more difficult since 2008? I mean, now that we can all agree this is the new normal. We don't use the recession word anymore. We don't talk about the economy in those terms anymore. I think this is just a new normal, though. Have you adjusted okay to that? I mean, is it difficult? Talk to me about some of the hurdles that you're still having to overcome.
Yeah, I think in our industry, if you don't evolve and change your business model on a regular basis, you're not in business anymore.
Right.
So to still be here after 30 some years, we've evolved our business model every 5 to 10 years. So now we're a managed service provider where we get monthly fees from clients to take care of things. So it's a very different business model than we had in 2001.
Right.
Makes us a little bit more insulated from the ups and the downs. We still do a lot of project work, which is subject to the ups and downs, which is directly tied to the economy.
Right.
And the business cycles for our industry is you do technology refreshes every so often. The bigger sea change is this whole cloud stuff going on, where everything's moving to the cloud, and how does that impact our business, and what does that look like in the future?
Right.
So, if you've got a better crystal ball than me for that
No. Well, and I think so. I think that's an important point that you brought up though earlier. That it used to be, especially in IT, that you would pay per service, right? You needed a security overhaul. You needed everything backed up. You needed an installation of a new server or whatever, anything that it may be. That's what you paid for. Now people pay a maintenance fee, right? They're paying a monthly deal for you to keep monitoring and to keep them up and running and to be that resource that they can call if they have a problem, right? Because people don't have IT departments typically. Those have more and more gone away, and now it's more of a company like you that are helping, especially small and medium businesses, make sure that they have everything running at optimal performance, right?
Right, that's all true. And we still do project work for larger companies where they'll have an IT department and they need a specific task done that we have the expertise for. We still do that.
Right.
But the bulk of our business now is exactly what you said.
So how big a team do you have?
We have 8 employees.
Okay. So when we come back, can we talk a little bit about, I want to talk about from a small business perspective, right? Because we know that New Jersey is challenged, right? So, and not just New Jersey, but our country is challenged by some things that, may have been kind of thrust upon us in recent times. But I'd like to hear kind of how the Affordable Care Act has impacted you. And maybe your feelings on a minimum wage hike, et cetera, et cetera. Is that okay?
Sure, that's fine.
All right, cool. Marshall Wright, president of Decker Wright Corp, right here at the Jersey Shore. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin back after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Get up, get out, do something. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin continues. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin here with Marshall Wright, Decker Wright Corporation. His wife lets him be the president. We were talking about some of the hurdles that you have to deal with as a small business. So in the break, we were talking about kind of one of the larger ones, which revolves around which revolves around salary, exempt versus non-exempt employees. Why don't you talk about that for a second?
Sure. The rule change pretty drastically at a federal level. Used to be that non-exempt or exempt employees were categorized, and those are typically management and professional people. The dollar threshold was at $23,000, which clearly was too low. But then they decided to more than double it to almost $48,000, and that impacted directly for me a lot of my sort of mid-level technical people and professional staff. All of a sudden fell into this category where we're going to need to pay them overtime, and we would compensate our employees extra or give them time off if they worked overtime.
Right.
Anyway, but now we lose that flexibility. And the other thing that's really wacky is now we actually have to start recording time for all these people so that we keep track of it in case we have an audit that we can produce payroll records for them. So, that's for us. So we're adjusting wage levels to try and keep people in an exempt status, but I know a lot of people in the nonprofit community, and they've really taken this on the chin. It's really been rough for a lot of different organizations. Unintended side effects.
It is tricky. And listen, I think we can all agree that we want folks to earn a livable wage and to make the money that they deserve to make. And I also believe that you should be able to go home and be home. And spend time with your family and not necessarily be, working 24/7. Of course, as a business owner, you're working 24/7, so that's different. But the impact is profound on a small business, and that's not even talking. We haven't talked about the minimum wage yet. So how does that impact you there? I mean, talk about what the alternative for you is relative to the minimum wage.
Sure. The minimum wage now, I guess, is $8.38. Not really an impact. I was upset when it was put in as a constitutional amendment and had an inflation gauge in it, because sooner or later inflation's going to pick up.
Right.
But in any event, with the talk about raising it to $15 in a relatively short period of time, our entry-level folks, particularly on the technical side, and we hire them out of high school, out of Brookdale, out of the community colleges. They start at about $10 an hour,
right,
and then they can have a nice career path to make good money over a number of years, and that entry-level job just sort of disappears at 15 because we have the ability to outsource all of those functions somewhere else.
Right, and that somewhere else may not even be here in the U.S.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that's correct.
So that's and that's the other thing is that I think that. Again, and we talk about this on the show pretty often, which is, there's a misconception that you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and people are having a better quality of life. Well, guess what? If you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, businesses have to decide whether they can afford those jobs. And one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to eliminate those jobs, right, because they can't afford those folks, or they're going to raise prices. Right, and when they raise prices, all of a sudden, all the money you just think that you made because you got a hike in your wages is gone because everything costs you more. Right. So it doesn't quite work the way that we all kind of romanticize it. Not to mention the fact that all the folks that right now are making $16 an hour or $17 an hour need to probably be incrementally raised because they're not going to be happy that they're making the same amount of money as the high school kid that's mopping the floor at the end of the night.
Exactly right.
So it's there's a lot going on there. And we haven't talked affordable care. How's the healthcare impacted you?
Healthcare, because we're still in small business plans,
right.
We have a small business insurance policy. We really didn't see a big rate impact from Obamacare. What was interesting about Obamacare was how they calculate the premiums, which changed pretty dramatically. We used to have the concept of family plans, and then they started to price everything out by the actual individuals on the plan.
Right.
So smaller families were less impacted than large families.
Right.
And because we fell into the model where we didn't have a large family, our prices didn't change a lot. The provision for the children on the policy. That was already New Jersey law. So I think in large part because New Jersey already had a lot of the provisions.
Right, because New Jersey already beat people down pretty hard.
We were on the leading edge of Obamacare in New Jersey.
Gotcha.
The impacts weren't as great as what you're seeing in some of the other states this year with the rate increases.
Gotcha. Marshall Wright, president of Decker Wright Corp, IT. When we come back, I want to kind of get your like top 5 list, which is the top 5 services things that you're working on like every day with local businesses to help improve the quality of their IT. Can we do that? Something like that?
Sure.
Cool. Let's do that. Marshall Wright, president, Decker Wright Corporation. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Listen up for the news, and then come on back.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin, 6:33, Thursday, November 17th, 49 degrees, getting up to 62 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. We are now joined in studio by Marshall Wright. He's the president of Decker Wright Corporation. And we are talking IT, and we are talking and I'd like to do this, if you don't mind. I'd like to do this in a very specific order. Right?
Yeah, right.
I'd like to go 1, 2, 5, 4, 3. No, I'm joking. If you could kind of like, let's kind of like count down the 5 biggest things that you deal with on a regular basis, all right?
Sure.
You're like, wait, now I got to rank them? What are you talking about?
Rank them?
Well, go ahead. So
I worked really hard on the break writing these down.
I know. Give me a couple. What do you got?
So probably the biggest thing that we work on and worry about in our industry is security. Trying to protect our clients' information, both from internal and external threats.
Right.
So I'm on a number of different national organizations where we get together and we talk about and share best practices for that. So we're constantly looking for ways to improve the security for our clients.
Who's the chair of that? Is that the Hillary Clinton group that?
Well, yeah, she had representatives on it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Data protection is, sort of hand in hand with that. That's where we do backups. The calls that we dread to hear is that somebody had a server crash or they lost something, and then we got to go into recovery mode to get it. Those are our most stressful situations, I think. And just as a small business owner, the day-to-day thing with employees is always a challenge.
Right.
From the client's perspective, speed's always an issue. Nothing's ever fast enough. We spend a lot of time troubleshooting internet connectivity problems and how to make things run faster or get them up to speed for people. Was that 3? Was that number 4? Number 3?
That's a lot. You're doing great. I've lost count. I actually just took my shoes off to try and keep up.
Did you? I saw you counting there.
I did.
So those are big ones. Certainly reliability. With the tools that we have, we're able to keep things up and running and getting back to people quickly with a response and being able to help them. With the tools we use today, we get a call, we can hop right on their computer and then go fix it. So that's really changed things a lot. I don't have to roll trucks like I used to.
So let me ask you, though, because I think that there's a misconception out there, right? Because I think if the average business owner says security, backup, like what do I need to back up? I don't have, we don't have any super secret files here, right? I mean, what am I securing, right? I mean, that's what I think that I don't think people really understand what it is they're securing. So talk for a second about that.
Well, the nature of today's threats have really changed a lot. It used to be we worried about hardware failing, and that's what you were kind of protecting against. Today you're protecting against really criminals that use the internet and the tools they have available to take over computers and encrypt things. If people haven't heard about the CryptoLocker virus,
right,
they really need to take some time and understand that, because criminals are able to take over your computer and encrypt all your files, and if you don't have them backed up, then you wind up paying the ransom to get them recovered,
Yeah.
and sometimes that can be thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But yet so all of these good folks like you out there trying to do this business, and then yet, you see again, they just had this big hack of that adult friend finder, right? It was like 412 million email addresses, right? And I'm just sick of getting hacked people must be sick of getting hacked every time like that. So how does that happen?
Express my thoughts and everything.
Right.
With painting, it was always an outlet for me.
So it became kind of like it was an escape
Around it, so they
or a way to kind of just relax and.
It wouldn't necessarily escape, but it expanded my thoughts, and I was able to, it just,
Right. Okay.
incorporate my feelings
All right,
and everything. And
so when we look at
expression.
the early works of Rick Tucker, right? What are we looking at?
My first painting was a sunset, and
Yeah.
I did it in high school, and it's my favorite one. I have it. I won't sell it. I admire it so much because not only was my first painting, it was my first acrylic. I learned the techniques of the shading in the sun,
Right.
and the art. I went to Hackensack, and they were great art teachers there. Both of them that were there for years were known for their expertise, and they trained me in my my techniques with acrylic painting.
Right. Now, you also, from what I understand, you also did some painting in your house.
I did.
Yeah.
Against my parents' wishes a little bit after they saw it. They said, "What
Right.
is she doing down there?" I painted the hall going down to the basement with bright acrylic colors. I think it was the first time I went to the mall to get paints.
Right.
And came out pretty spiffy. They
Yeah, it
liked
looked
it.
good.
After they looked at it, they couldn't really say anything. They
Right.
said the kid's got talent. So
at first they were like, "I can't believe you just painted on our walls." They're
Right.
like, "Okay, that was good.
exactly,
We're
But-
okay with that
But
now."
then they said that the walls needed painting anyway. So it's
Oh, so that was good. So next thing you're painting the whole house, right? There you go. Okay.
no, they stopped me there.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So okay, okay. I'm going to ask you. This is where we're gonna throw down right here. Okay, you ready? So this was your first painting, right? You did this first painting, which is the sunset, right?
Yeah.
And you say it's not for sale. Now, I'm gonna take the Donald Trump angle for a second. Everything's for sale.
Not this.
Really? If
I'll-
somebody offered you some obscene, disgusting amount of money, you'd be like, no.
No,
Too much sentimental value.
I'll make prints of it and sell the prints, but not the
Really?
original. Yeah.
See, that's what makes you an
Yeah.
artist, because
Yeah.
I would just be like, no, well, listen, that sounds like a good number to me.
Yeah, it's
It has
very
too much value for you.
unique and different from most of my other paintings. So, and it's my first one, so I want to keep it.
I understand. I understand. So how do you so now you've worked on this craft. You feel like you got the art thing, flowing, right? You're doing good stuff. How do you get yourself out there? Where do you go? Like, how do you, that's the biggest issue, isn't it? I mean, it's just like you hear there are so many great, you hear these people sing and you're like, what a fantastic voice. What separates them from, the singer who just put out an album, right? Taylor Swift. So what's the secret for an artist? How do you get out there?
Well, of course, it's networking like everything else. I'm a member, a long-term member of Tom's River Artist Community, and we network with each other, and we streamline to put together shows in different medias in different counties, and mainly both in Ocean County, but eventually we try to look to network in Monmouth County also with them. That's been a suggestion of some of our members, so we can expand our group. But it's a great number of people. We get together and discuss different techniques and everything, and share avenues to try to propagate our art and everything. So like I said, it's a great bunch of people, and we do shows for different organizations, and it's an ever-expanding group. They're located right on Main Street, although they use the county library now for their meetings. But that's usually how we network to get other jobs and things.
I think I understand now why her name is first on the.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, Marshall Wright, President Decker Wright Corporation. Thank you so much for some time this morning.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to be here.
All right, cool. Back with more after this.